At least when shopping with females that can transport things, I don't get turned into a pack mule. I guess I should be thankful for that. Every bag was transported to our suite on the J&J after it was paid for. I swear my card was heating up. The shopping was a boring few hours for me, except for when they were in the lingerie and swimwear stores, of course. I think to myself with a big grin. Back in our suite, I couldn't believe the pile that was on the bed. Well, I think it was on the bed, though I couldn't actually see the bed. I grabbed a guarana and glass of ice, then went over some reports while I waited for Marcia's medical to be completed. The first going over Larry's account and files reported there didn't appear to be any abnormalities other than what he was trying to do for Eve. That was good to know. Dean called and he and Karen were ready to come up. I told him someone would be down on a few minutes to bring them up. Sam, is Marcia out of the med bed yet? Dean just called and they are ready to come up. The doc is just about to help her out of the med bed. Why not have two, or three get them and bring them to the dining room? We can all meet there. Okay, sounds good to me. See you there. 2, 3. Will you go down and bring Dean and Karen up in a couple minutes? Meet us at the dining room with them, okay? Can do, love, they both say, and give me a quick kiss before leaving. Well, Dalila mi amor, do you want to take a walk with me? I say to her as I hold my hand out for hers. She takes my hand in hers while caressing my face with the other. Anytime, my love, anytime. Now, of course, we are the last to arrive since we were walking, and of course, we got kidded about it. Everyone was hungry, so we each placed orders with Chef and chatted about nothing important. Once everything was dumped into the recycler, Marcia took Dean and Karen back to the table and told them about the breast cancer being found, having it treated, and now being cancer-free. Needless to say, they were dumbstruck for a moment before asking her how she was feeling now. She reassured them she was feeling fine, and the doc said there was no more cancer in her body, that she was 100% healthy now. Dean and Karen both wanted to get the medicals done right away, so we took them to the med bay. When we arrived, Dean thanked the doc profusely for curing Marcia and went to give her a hug. And yes, his arms went through her. He did look a little embarrassed for a moment until I told him there was no way of telling if they were in a body or not, so not to feel embarrassed. While Dean and Karen were getting their medicals done, we started bringing Marcia up to date on what we knew about the different projects. She said this is pretty much the same info she now had on her head, though she did have a little more. She tells us that Larry was pretty organized, and it appeared to her that many of the projects were nearing completion. She says that there are many purchases to be finalized, and that she wants to go over them in more detail tomorrow before updating us. I tell Sam to get her purchasing authority on our bank accounts so she can sign off on them as we would be gone in a couple days on our trip. Sam, Dalila, and Marcia went into a huddle about woman things. Hey, that's what they told me. So I ran away over to the TV and took a look through the website. The sponsor concubines section had quite a few gals and even a few guys listed as willing to be concubines. There didn't appear to be any complaints yet, which is always a good thing. I did have to satisfy my curiosity and look for Aline's, Brenda's, and Cassandra's names. Well, what'd you know? They were already spoken for. Good for them. The file on their sponsor said he was a computer geek, and yes, he looked like your stereotypical computer geek. Hey, I'd do the same if I was in his shoes and take them as a sure thing, rather than see who I might meet on Arcadia. I was going to take them, remember? Dean and Karen are done with their medicals and both are in good health with no problems. Hey, DD, 5 of our scientists didn't show up for work today. Rumor has it that they and their families are gone. You have any idea where? Dean asked with a smile. 5 of your scientists and your ex-mayor get taken when Arcadia people and properties are supposed to be off limits to the Confederacy. Okay, DD, give it up. Tell us what you did, Marcia says with a smile. Okay, look, it's like this. We knew that the 5 scientists had plans to go to Arcadia, learn everything they could about our advanced technology, and then say they wanted to return to Earth at the 11-month mark. There was no way I was going to let them continue working at Arcadia R&D, let alone take them to Arcadia after learning this. So I had Sam email them that they were being considered for a top-secret project and to be at the restaurant with their families where they'd be told more. We had also found out that Larry had hooked up with Eve again. She was his girlfriend and mine at the same time a few months ago and had lied to both of us about it. We both dumped her, and I put her on the No Way Jose list, meaning no way Jose was she going to Arcadia. Larry knew she was on the list as this happened the first time I met Larry and before he was made mayor. After they got back together, Larry had been actively trying to get Eve off of the No Way Jose list and on the list of people going to Arcadia. He had tried changing her status and her name, tried deleting her name and re-adding it, and had even tried getting a fake Arcadia card for her. The first watching Eve thought she had gone nuts. She was sweet and nice when with Larry and others, but went psycho when alone, ranting and raving about how I had fucked her over and ruined her life, how she was going to get Larry to take her to Arcadia, and then she could get close to me and win me back. Then she'd kill me and make the Arcadian people worship her. I had Sam contact Trank, the Confederacy Moonbase AI, and I asked if he could help me with a personnel problem. I told him I'd get 5 very good scientists and my soon-to-be ex-mayor together in one place, and would the Confederacy be interested in extracting them? I told Trank that the 5 scientists had not revoked their volunteering for the Confederacy and that the other one had, but would probably volunteer again after I fired him. Trank checked their names and said that the Confederacy would definitely be interested. He then asked if 2 Confederacy Marines could join the extraction and look for a conch. He told me these 2 belonged to a group of Marines that shared all their conchs. Their conchs could be fucked by any of the group at any time. And once the Marines tired of them, they were traded or given to the civil service and ended up in the planet whorehouse. They were on the transport that was here on Earth orbit and were looking for new conchs. I said they were welcome to join in, and I may have sent Trank Eve's photo to give to the Marines, with a note saying that she was a sex freak and into everything and anything. Once everyone was at the restaurant, the Confederacy then came down and did an extraction, taking my problem children away. I didn't see the scientists leave, but Eve did get picked up by the 2 Marines before Larry revolunteered and was extracted too. Damn, DD, that's... wow! Devious, very devious. What the heck did you do that the Confederacy would even consider doing something like that for you? Dean asked. I'd rather not get into that, Dean, okay? Okay, not a problem, DD. Now I think it is time for us to go home. Can anyone give us a lift? Ha 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 ha. Sam transports them back to the office building so they can get their vehicles and go home after I tell Marcia to call us if she has any questions or needs anything, and to let us know when she has gone over everything and is ready to give us her take on things. I remind her that we will be going on our tour soon, and I'd like her input before we leave. The 5 of us sit around chatting and listening to tales of Elvin from Delilah. Damn, her father sounds like one huge asshole. Almost makes me wish he was still alive so I could kill him again. I got more than a little angry when I found out that Houses Alahila, now Houses Anderson, my house, has slaves. Some are debt slaves, meaning they owed a debt to the previous duke and couldn't pay the debt, so they were forced to work for the duke until the debt was paid, though that they never seemed to be able to pay off the debt. The other slaves were owned, and of various races, including the Mer who made the delicious seafood. As a matter of fact, the Mer of Houses Anderson raised and made almost half of the seafood that was available on Elvin and for export. I let Delilah know that this would change as soon as we got to Elvin. I'd be setting Houses Sanderson slaves free and offer them a wage to continue working for me, or I'd help them move back to their homeworld if that was possible. Delilah could see I was angry and started apologizing. I asked her if there was anything she could have done about it, and she said no, she couldn't. No one could, not even her stepmother. I hugged her and told her she had nothing to apologize for. I did tell them all that Queen Bee knows my view on slavery and that I wouldn't enter into an alliance with a race that kept slaves. That news shocked them all. The girls could tell I was still more than a little pissed, so it was just a cuddle and hugs night once we were in bed. It was nice, and I could feel the anger quickly dissipating. Slaves? Not in Houses Sanderson. No freaking way I was going to be a slave owner, even if I had to find them their own planet. What a great way to wake up, surrounded by nubile naked bodies. Training, followed by my morning routine, then an artery-hardening breakfast from Chef, and I was raring to go. Sam and the girls come in while I'm relaxing with my coffee, and Delilah comes back with a plate full of bacon. I take it you like bacon, Delilah? This bacon tastes incredible, like nothing I've ever had before, because I haven't. We have nothing like this at all on Elven. It tastes so good. It is almost addictive. Well, don't eat too much of it all of the time, as it can raise your cholesterol levels. Or even worse, you may come to no longer like it. Ha 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 ha, she just looked at me like I was nuts. Dida, I got a report from the first watching the politicians. They have heard the rumor about you possibly selling Arcadia R and D and have contacted companies that they own. They expressed their desire to get hold of your company if possible, as for some reason they seem to think there may be more advanced or even alien tech there than you have shared publicly. Huh, good to know. If they give a reasonable offer, I may just take it. And we know there is no Arcadia or First technology there, is there? No, there is not, DD. There is none of our tech on Earth except the low-grade security tech and the Arcadia Power Source, APS, at the orphanage. While more advanced than Earth tech, the security tech wouldn't give anyone trying to steal it any big advantage over anyone else. And the APS is tamper-proof and will turn into useless slag if someone, somehow, does manage to get into it. Okay, great. Let's start thinking of a plan to get all our people up to the Star Cruiser when the time comes. I'm thinking there should be a first in contact with every person, family, or group that's going and transport them aboard in an organized fashion. Anyone got some ideas on how we can get that done? We spent more than a few hours going over several ideas before deciding on doing specific sections on every deck at the same time, transporting roughly 25,000 people in total at a time. This would take 10 trips if we had 250,000 people, so around 3.4 hours if we take into account possible disruptions. I told everyone that any disruptions were to be taken care of as quickly as possible. If someone was being difficult, depending on what they were being difficult about, they could be sent back to Earth as quickly as they left it. Each first would contact the person, family, or group they were assigned to a few days before transport was to take place, and explain how they would be taken to the Star Cruiser and what would happen as soon as they were on board, namely immediately getting into their seats so they could get their medical checkup and citizen ID chip. They would not, however, be told exactly what day they would leave, only that it would be within a week. When we got to Arcadia, the people could be transported en masse to their homes in Guardian City as they were going into neighborhoods and not into a confined space like the Star Cruiser. Dean and Marcia called at the same time. Dean for me, and Marcia for Sam. Sam disappears and is quickly back with Marcia, while Dean and I are still talking. Dean lets me know that he was contacted by another R&D firm, inquiring if the rumor about Arcadia possibly being for sale was true. Dean told them that I had mentioned I would be willing to listen to any reasonable offers. They asked if $250 million was reasonable, and Dean said he laughed and told them not even close. Dean and I both know it's worth more than triple that, but I tell him I'd probably let it go for $600 mil, as I'd have to look at spending as much of the money as I could before we left, as the money would have no value on Arcadia. I told him to set up a meeting if there was any serious interest, and he said he would. I bade Marcia welcome back to the J&J and asked how she felt this morning. She said she had never felt better and asked if there was anything else done during her medical. I looked over to Sam with a question on my face, and she assured Marcia that nothing else was done. Marcia said she had gone over Larry's files and they matched the information that was in her head. She said there was a lot in the final stages of being purchased, and that should be wrapped up in the next 3-5 weeks. She asked what we were going to do to remain in contact with the orphanage after we left so they wouldn't feel abandoned, and what we were going to do about things we left behind. Things such as the recycling ships at Garbage Island, the OFR, and ore refineries. I tell her that a couple BCs will be staying in the system to watch over our assets that are left behind. They will rotate out with another pair every month. I had to tell her that I honestly hadn't thought about how we'd keep in touch with the orphanage. I looked at Sam and asked her if a communication surveillance satellite would work if we put one here in Earth's solar system. Sam said it would work and we could provide communications access to whoever we wanted to. The satellites are shielded, armed with weapons and protocols that would only allow them to return fire, and completely sealed so we would not have to worry about anyone entering it, stealing it, or blowing it up. I said, I guess we better get one built and set up here then ASAP. Sam told me the order was sent to the OFR and she'd let me know when it was completed. I asked Sam, when she had the time, to look into using the recycling ships to recycle countries' landfills once they were done with the garbage island. Or if countries wanted their useless space junk cleaned out of the skies. Or maybe see if that would be something Dalila would like to do. She said she'd talk to Dalila about it and help her out if she was interested. The garbage island was now 75% gone, and she figured it would be 100% gone within another 6-8 weeks at the latest. We didn't need to stick around to have the recyclers start the next recycling project if it was already in place, as the first crews were capable of taking care of everything. Then the only thing left to do then would be to complete the trade agreement, transport people to the Star Cruiser, and go to Arcadia. Damn, we could be gone in 6 weeks. We went over our plan for transporting people up to the Star Cruiser with Marcia and how they would be transported all at once to their homes on Arcadia. She thought it was doable, but told us to remember that it probably wouldn't go as smoothly as planned. Everyone had a good laugh saying, "Yeah, we figured that." I told Marcia we were off to Russia tomorrow and that I had complete confidence in her ability to get whatever needs to be done, though we were just a phone call away if she needed us. We all went when Sam transported Marcia down to meet Dean at the office building. Dean said the newsies were still out front, so I went down to speak to them with the whole entourage. We walked out, and there was silence. Whoa. WTF? They were looking expectantly, though, so I quickly spoke up, saying we'd answer as many questions as we could before we had to leave. Sam takes over and points at the first reporter, who asks, "Is there any truth to the rumor that Arcadia R&D is for sale?" That rumor didn't take long to get out. I recently heard that rumor too, and while I am not actively looking to sell my family's company, I will listen to any reasonable offer. Their follow-up question is, what would you consider a reasonable offer? I heard you have been offered $250 million. Wow, someone at that particular company is using you to feel me out on a price. I wouldn't call it an offer, though. We were asked if $250 million was reasonable. But Dean Masters, the person that has been running the company since my parents' death, and I both know that the company is worth a lot more than that. And no, I won't name the company that asked. Sam points at a younger reporter who says, "You seem to have a few more women around you today. Can they introduce themselves and tell us where they are from?" I look over at the girls and shrug my shoulders, saying, "Well, everyone should already know Sam, but it is up to each of the girls if they want to talk to you. Ladies, do you want to answer the question?" The reporters know Sam, but don't know she is an energy being or originally from Arcadia, so her 2-2 and 2-3 decide to keep it that way, only giving their names and that they are my PA and my security, as well as my girlfriends. I guess we should have warned Dalila about the press, but we didn't, and she shocked them into silence when she told them she was Dalila Sanderson, mine and the other girl's girlfriend, and that she was originally from Elven, but was now calling wherever I was home. You could see she stunned the reporters as their jaws dropped, and it looked like they were wanting to yell out questions, but surprising they held back. I figured I better cut them some slack and explain that Dalila Sanderson was from the planet Elven, where her name is Third Princess de Sanderson, that we had met when I briefly met her mother, the Elven Queen Buhalia, and that we being all 4 of us, decided we wanted to be together, so she stayed with us, and here we are today. I thank them all for being so courteous to us, but we had to leave now as we were going on our trip east tomorrow. They all took off like their pants were on fire to get their stories on air, and we went back up to the J&J. When we got back to the J&J, Dalila was worried that she had said something wrong to the reporters. We all reassured her that she didn't, and took the time to explain to her about Earth reporters and how they were different from reporters on Elven. Here on Earth, reporters weren't held accountable for what or how they reported on anything, no matter whether what they said was misleading or an outright lie, while on Elven, reporters were held accountable for not only what they reported and how they reported it, but for what they omitted from their reports as well. Any incomplete, slanted, twisting of, or other misrepresentation resulted in severe penalties for both the reporter and their employer, up to and including execution if it was against a royal. Many times I wish we had the same rules for them here on Earth. We have pretty close to the same rules on Arcadia, that's for sure. News of the third princess of Elven being on Earth completely overshadowed the rumor of my company being for sale, which didn't bother me any. It was good to see that most of the newsies played it straight, reporting the news of my having the third princess of Elven as my girlfriend, as well as my having 3 other girlfriends. They did point out that none of my current girlfriends were from Earth, though I had dated girls from Earth. All true, so bonus points to them. Of course, everyone's favorite news channel, the Comedy News Network, wondered what this meant for the people on Earth if there would be a royal wedding. How could I be allowed to commit bigamy, conveniently not mentioning that I wasn't married to any of them and that the Earth governments condoned the Confederacy taking people from Earth as slaves? And of course, why weren't Earth girls good enough for me? That was enough for me, and I turned the screen off. Ah, a nice dinner. Then relaxing and just talking about our upcoming trip. Dalila was super excited about visiting places she has never known about, let alone seen before. We'd have 3 days each in Russia, China, India, and the UK, so I imagined there would be time to play tourist. What a beautiful morning. I slip out of bed and go for my coffee, then training, then coffee again and breakfast, only to find a surly-looking Sam at the table when I go to sit down with my breakfast. Sam glares at me saying, "You just had to tell them Dalila was a princess, didn't you? You know my phone has been ringing off the hook since last night." "Well, shit, I wanted to stir the pot a little, but I'm sorry they were bugging you," I said with as contrite a look on my face as I could. I heard someone snort, and Sam's facade broke as she started laughing, and was quickly joined by Delilah, 2, 2, 2, 3, and the rest of the security teams. Okay. What did I do or say that you all find so funny?" Sam could barely speak. She was laughing so hard, but she did her best saying, "Many of the power people in many countries, politicians, royals, the uber-rich, etc., have been calling wanting to meet the princess. Many who have never called a single time wanting to meet Guardian Prime, the ruler of a new world." Ha 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 ha. "Well, damn, ain't that enough to keep a person's head from swelling?" I say in my saddest voice before I too started laughing. I look sideways at Sam saying, "Please tell me you didn't set up any more appointments or meetings during our trip." Sam managed to settle down a little and say, "I told them, sorry, but the princess would not be available for any meetings while we were on our trip. We thought it was super funny that they got so excited over a princess, but not so much over the ruler of a new planet, 3 solar systems, and an alien race. And I'm only the 3rd princess. Ha 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 ha. Well, you know what they say. Some people are too stupid for their own good," I say with my nose in the air and in my best aristocratic voice. They all just started howling again. Okay, what time do we need to be in Russia and what time do we need to leave to get there?" We moved into orbit over the Asian continent last night and still have a few hours before we need to take the shuttle down and meet the Russian president at the airport. "So let's go back to bed and we'll make up for all of us teasing you like we did," Sam says with a grin. Dalila starts running for the bed while saying, "Last one there gets the outside." "Silly girl," says Tutomto, 3 is she, 2, and Sam disappear. Yeah, they can transport directly to the bed and beat Dalila and me there, but I'll walk because it's not like I care if I'm on the outside or inside of 4 beautiful naked girls," I think to myself with a big grin on my face. We spent a grand total of 15 days on our tour through Russia, China, India, and the UK. Nothing major happened. It was more of a see and be seen thing rather than state meetings. We did a few fancy meet and greets with the high and mighty of each country, complete with speeches about Arcadia's sovereignty and the hopes for a long and fruitful friendship. All the right words were said by them and by me. Normal politician, blah, blah, blah. We did accept 2 more invitations to visit for the end of the trip. On our first day in Russia, Sam received a call from the Prime Minister of Canada's office, and I received one from the head man in the White House himself. We both figured it wouldn't hurt us to go visit them, and so we graciously accepted their invites. I had no problem going to visit the U.S. President, as our families have known each other for many years, and he was the negotiator for the trade agreement. A formal meeting never came up during negotiations from either of us, so I never thought about it. I did tell the man that there were specific politicians I would not meet, and he said he just wouldn't invite any then. I told him that was even better for me. He said we'd do lunch in the Rose Garden, just him and his family and me and mine. He said the press would be there, but they'd be far enough away they shouldn't bother us too much. I told him that sounded fantastic to me. I did agree to do a quick Q&A with him after the lunch, telling him that if we didn't have the women with us, it'd probably be a pretty short Q&A. The Canadian Prime Minister is an arrogant asshole, and I didn't care if I ever met him again or not. But I didn't think it would be a good move to turn down the invitation, as technically, I had lived in the country, and my company was HQ'd there for a time. He did get smarmy with Delilah until Sam put him in his place when she asked him, while in front of a large group of people and reporters, why he hadn't taken the enhanced cap test, and to not let his only having a 4.8 on his Confederacy cap stop him from taking it. She told him that even I had taken it, but that my score had only improved by 0.7 points from a 9.2 to a 9.9. A short while after that, we said our goodbyes to those that were there. The PM was not, having run off after Sam's question to him, and Sam transported us up to the J&J with everyone watching. Another morning, and no more parties or meetings. Now we just got to get caught up in regards to what has happened since we left. Of course, after my morning training, and coffee, and breakfast. Riker contacts us and says that the remaining PGs have been completed, so we now have a total of 7 completed. He'd like to know if there was anything else in particular I'd like produced. I tell him that the 5th PG would still be coming to Earth before we left for Arcadia, and to have the other 2 join the ones patrolling the other Guardian systems. I didn't have anything in mind at the moment that I'd like made, but I'd let him know if I did, and asked him to let me know if he or any other first thought of anything to build that was needed or that may be interesting. This might be a good question to put on the website and see what possible products the new citizens would like to see available. I mentioned this to Sam, and she says she will pass it on to the web first. I also ask her if there are photos of Arcadian products or products from other races that might be interesting to our new citizens. She said she'd get together with the girls and look for interesting items. I tell her she might want to get with Marcia, Sarah, and the people at the orphanage if she wanted a human perspective. She thought that was a good idea. I ask Riker if he has received a report from the 4th PG yet, and he says that the 4th PG reported just a short time ago. He tells me the report states that while the Confederacy is slowing the advance of the swarm, they lack the numbers of ships right now that would be needed to stop the advance. Apparently, when the Confederacy battles the swarm and win, more swarm ships show up time and time again, eventually overwhelming the Confederacy forces, with the end result being the Confederacy has to withdraw from the system. So I guess there's no chance of them preventing the swarm from reaching Earth then? I would think not, sire, though they should delay their arrival by a few years or more than originally thought. The commanders report that not much has been happening in Earth's solar system. There have been some Confederacy transport ships coming and going, but no military ships. They report that the communications surveillance satellite has been completed, tested, and is fully functional. It has been positioned and anchored near the OFR and ore refineries. I thank them for their report and turn to Sam, asking, I read in all that information you sent me so long ago about security sentinels and how they used to be placed around a solar system to provide an early warning of any intrusions into the system. I know that the first versions of the communications surveillance satellites replaced them, but I don't want to put communications or surveillance satellites anywhere outside of where we maintain a presence. Can we build and put those security sentinels I read about in the 2 systems adjacent to Earth's system that are directly in the projected path of the swarm? They could give us, the Confederacy, and even Earth a warning if we wanted them to, couldn't they? The Confederacy should know when the swarm gets that close, but, good idea. Yes, we could make and place security sentinels, and it wouldn't take long, as it sounds like you only want to cover the projected path of the swarm and not the entire systems, correct? Yes, that is correct. One question about them. I read that they have cloaking capabilities, but I didn't read anything about weapons or any other means of self-protection. Are there any weapons systems they use? No, there were no weapons that they used. They were totally passive and so were never detected. Ever. That I know of anyways. Okay, great. Let's get the 2 adjacent systems covered by the security sentinels ASAP then. The OFR will start building them right away, Dee. Marcia had been going great guns while we were gone and has almost everything completed. All the purchases have been agreed to, so now it's just waiting for the lawyers to get the completed paperwork properly registered and transferred. Then the money switches hands. Sarah has both apartment buildings full and more orphans worldwide wanting to go. The first have approved everyone in the building, or they wouldn't be there, and another 17,233 worldwide, bringing the total to just over 19,500 orphans approved for migration. Sarah has been told who of the worldwide orphans has been approved and has in turn told the orphans themselves, though stressing that she doesn't know when they'd be leaving. Sarah also tells us that Gran has over 2,000 seniors interested in being grandparents to the kids. Gran says she wants to run the orphanage after Sarah leaves and would like to know when she can get the medical done. She'll also go to Arcadia when we decide to close up shop here on Earth. Sam informs me that she watched over Delilah as she returned some calls about our possible recycling projects, and she'd let Delilah explain. Delilah tells us that Canada, the U.S., and many other countries have expressed interest in our recycling their landfills if we would just take the crap away. We wouldn't pay them for it, and they wouldn't pay us. She told them she'd talk to me about it and get back to them. She told me we should do it, and any recycled matter that we didn't need or use could be sold to other races or stored for future use. I told her she should call them and let them know we were okay with taking it without any payment changing hands. She told me that many Middle Eastern, African, and a couple South American countries feel that we should pay them to take their crap, and she felt that there was no need for us to do that when we could get it for free from other countries. She said she told them that that was not what we were looking for at this time. I told her she made a good decision. Sam informed me that the trade agreement was now 98% completed and would be 100% completed by this time next week. I thanked her for the information and asked her if she could think of anything we had missed. She couldn't, and said if I didn't need her, that she and the girls were going down to the orphanage and see if they could come up with any products to make available right away on Arcadia. She thought we should put them in the website stores for people to view and virtually buy, as this would give us a better idea of what to actually make. I told her I thought that was a great idea and to do it, but to have an area where people could suggest other products as well. Sam said she would get all the seniors checked out and approved or not to go to Arcadia while at the orphanage and bring Gran up for her medical. The girls leave, so I grab a coffee and a couple warm cinnamon rolls from Chef and sit down to go over all the notes and lists I made since this first started. Everything seems to be happening so much faster now as we come closer and closer to having everything completed, and I worry that we'll overlook something. I think back and man, it is hard to believe that so much has happened in the last 6 months or so. I hope that Mom and Dad would approve of what I've done so far. I decided to take a look at the website and see how things were going. The web first have the site detail so good that it was almost as if you were actually there in Guardian City. The sponsors/concubine connection area on the site has slowed down a lot. All the sponsors now had all the people they could take with them, though there were still quite a few people willing to be concubines. I checked on a few of the people I had personally talked to over the last few months to see if they were on the list to go or not. Oh, this is good, Daryl and half their families are going. They had asked on the website about the possibility of more people being able to come to Arcadia on the return trip if people were brought back to Earth after 11 months. The answer was that the orphanage and the enhanced testing were going to continue, so there would be an opportunity for others to migrate to Arcadia in the future. I guess they liked the answer. I do believe the rest of their family will come in the second migration if the first half of the family recommends it. Yes, I believe there will be people that have to be or will want to be returned to Earth, as I doubt there is any way to please everyone in a group of people as big as the group we plan on migrating. Bernie and Ernie are going too. Excellent. Looks like they've got a similar soup and sandwich cafe open in Guardian City. I wonder if they know about or would be interested in Gran's grandparents program. Sam and the girls get back as I was getting dinner from Chef. Beef and chicken shawarma wraps with a spicy garlic yogurt sauce. They had Gran with them so she could get the medical done. Gran wasn't hungry when I asked and wanted to get things done so she could get busy, were the words she used. Sam took her to the med bay and let her know she'd be back in a couple hours to take her home. I asked if anyone else wanted any, looking directly at Delilah in particular. She said they had gone to a little soup and sandwich place near the orphanage. She went on to say that Ernie and Bernie said hi and that they hoped I'd stop by their cafe in Guardian City, if not here, before we left. They thought the grandparents program was a fantastic idea and had signed up for it. The girls asked how my day went, and I told them how I spent it. I told them that Aline, Brenda, and Cassandra, the girls they briefly met that night we had the spicy chicken wings, would be going to Arcadia as concubines. So of course they had to see what their sponsor looked like. They agreed he looked like a computer geek, but all said that from the details in his Arcadia card that he seemed like a very decent person. The girls said they had some things to show me that everyone that was at the orphanage agreed may be good items to have for sale on Arcadia. I said I'd love to have a look after eating and a relaxing coffee. That didn't happen right away as my cell buzzed with a call from Dean asking me if I could make a 9 a.m. meeting tomorrow at his office. XYZ R&D had contacted him and requested it. I said Sam and I would be there and then checked with Sam, and XYZ was one of the companies the Politicos had called about buying Arcadia R&D. I told Sam about the meeting and the company, and that I'd like to go down a little early and say hi to Mark. We sat down so they could show me all the items they thought would do well in Guardian City stores, and I was numb after seeing seemingly endless varieties of furnishings, appliances, clothes, fake plants, real plants, etc. They showed me some Arcadian products that, while they didn't look like anything I'd buy, they all thought would be different enough to garner a lot of interest. We took a break so Sam could take Gran home. She was healthy as a horse before the medical, apparently, and Sam said would probably live a much longer than normal life. I mentioned to the girls that I didn't see a lot of big-ticket items like vehicles, RVs, boats, etc. They told me there wasn't that many, so they saved them to the end to show me. And then they showed me. I nixed all the anti-grav items for the time being. I didn't want anyone getting any ideas about trying to steal anti-grav tech and return to Earth with it. But I did see a couple things I'd like to have. I okayed the rest of the big-ticket items as long as they could be made so they didn't use fossil fuels. Sam said they could be made to run in the same fashion as my car is. I told them to go ahead and put the items, except anything with anti-grav, on the website and see what, if any, interest there was, and we'd look at buying them, and/or having Riker get some replicated and put in our stores in Guardian City. I did have them put up a motor yacht that looked very interesting. It looks very similar in appearance to an older luxury Earth motor yacht called Sunflower, but at 30 meters it is only slightly more 1/3 of Sunflower's 75-meter length. There are 3 full decks, a pilot/wheelhouse, and it looked like it had all the luxury items a person could dream of. There is a huge swim platform that is fully connected all the way around, sporting a freshwater pool, hot tub, sauna, and tanning area. Another deck has a hexagonal seating area and bar area with fire pit. Another has a beautiful kitchen, aka galley area. There are 3 queen-size staterooms with complete heads, bathrooms, and 1 king-size stateroom with complete head. It looks like the pilot/wheelhouse has enough gizmos and other high-tech looking gear too. Girls, do you think that our having something like this would be considered too ostentatious? Would the citizens be pissed if we had something so luxurious? I think something like this would be out of their price range for quite a while. Yes, some will think it too much, but there are always people that think that what someone else has, they should have too. I do think, though, that anyone with half a brain will realize that you had a lot more money than they had when everyone was on Earth. So it would be natural for you to have more on Arcadia. Plus, with your being the ruler of the entire planet, some would think it was normal for you to have something like that. That would be my take anyways, Sam said. I'm from Elven, where the rich and the royals have far more than normal citizens and don't care if they don't like it. Though I will tell you that as Guardian Prime of the Guardian solar systems and First of the First, if you plan on entertaining dignitaries or royals of foreign races on Arcadia, they will expect you to have such luxuries and may think less of you in Arcadia if you don't. Tu sais quoi? 3 piped in saying, on Earth, there are a lot of luxury items that average citizens can't afford, but there are also many more, less luxurious yet similar items that they can. Give them a good variety of quality things they can afford and see what happens. You don't want things to be too easily obtainable, but not completely out of their reach either. That is what is done here on Earth, no? Though high quality seems to be lacking in many things. Good points by all of you, thanks. I think that 2, 3 has the right idea, and that's what we'll go with for now, and adjust later if necessary. Put the items you want to on the website now, as well as the big-ticket items, and have someone keep an eye on what is in demand and what the people could care less about. Explain this as test marketing of products we may be able to have in Guardian City. Now, I am beat and going to bed. Anyone want to see if they can beat the Timex torture test? I say while wiggling my tongue like Gene Simmons of the old rock band Kiss. The girls all look at me with "huh" written all over their faces. I should have known they wouldn't get it. Ha 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 ha. You know, see who can take a licking and keep on ticking, I say with a lecherous grin. Screams and giggling are heard, then 3 of the girls disappear while the 4th starts running. I quickly caught a squealing Delilah before she got far, saying with a smile, "We'll teach them to transport everywhere," as I pick her up and set her ass on a tabletop before diving headfirst between her thighs. I am having an awesome breakfast after my training and shower of 3 huge strawberry crepes with whipped cream and a double side of hickory smoked bacon. Freaking delicious! And even more so when a person doesn't have to worry about fats, cholesterol, and all that other crap. Sam appears in front of me and says with a smirk on her face, "So you thought you were hot stuff last night, huh? Bringing Delilah to bed unconscious, then trying to do the same to us. Well, we showed you, didn't we? You were out like a light after only 72 minutes. 2, 2, and 2, 3 appear alongside Sam as I reply grinning, "Girls, you 3 are energy beings. My trying to outlast you 3 would be like trying to outlast the Energizer Bunny." They had confused looks on their faces as I get up and dump my stuff in the recycler. "What's that mean, Dee Dee?" All 3 ask at once, to which I laughingly reply, "Google is your friend," and head to our suite to quickly get changed for our meeting this morning. After changing, I lean down and give Delilah a good morning wake-up kiss. "Come on, sleepyhead. Rise and shine, baby. Time to get up." A smile appears on her face as she stretches, the sheets sliding down, exposing one of her luscious breasts. Oh, Lord, what I would do if I didn't have to go to a meeting. "Good morning, love." I think that was the best sleep I have ever had." She slipped the rest of the way out of bed and pulled my head down for a better kiss. I could see the love in her eyes as she said, "You are everything I could ever have wished for in a mate." She looks over my shoulder at our lovers and continues, "And you 3 are the cherries on top. I hear, all honey, you are so sweet," as the other 3 loves of my life help Delilah to the shower. I swear I also heard someone say in a whisper, "But there are no cherries anymore because Dee Dee took them." Then just loud giggling. "Sam, are you ready to head down?" I jump as Sam appears right beside me. "Ready whenever you are, Dee Dee," she says, then pulls my head down for a quick kiss. "Okay, the commanders had nothing to report this morning. Did anyone have anything for you? And can you get all the details and specs for that motor yacht I looked at last night and send it to Riker to have built and ready for when we arrive? Get the web first to put it on the website and see what people's reactions to it are. It can be made so it doesn't use gas or diesel or anything like, right? No one had anything out of the ordinary to report this morning, Dee Dee. It looks like everything is going smoothly so far. The motor yacht you looked at last night is Arcadian and not from Earth, so Riker has the plans for it already. It will need to be modified a little to use the newest APS and electronics gear, but that should not present a problem. Do you want it in Guardian Prime colors? Awesome, thanks Sam. Have it painted in the same color scheme as the Wayward Son, with the main body coloring in white with thin crimson striping running alongside a wider black striping. I think it will look better on the boat than the black and crimson Guardian Prime colors. Riker now knows and will send an image of how it will look later this afternoon. Now, are you ready to go? Sam laughingly asks. Yes, let's go. Mark's office first, please. We find out Mark is out of the office for a few days at a security seminar. It seems there is a rumor that the Confederacy may start giving the Earth militaries advanced weapons, and security firms are meeting with the military about the possibility of getting a few for training and use, of course. Mark is also going to see about getting some for R&D purposes, though of course this is all just a rumor right now. We head to Dean's office, stopping to talk to Karen, asking her how she has been feeling since the medical checkup. She tells us she feels 20 years younger and is looking forward to going to Arcadia and living a less stressed life. When Sam asks, Karen explains that since learning about the swarm, many people are very stressed about getting off Earth, what's going to happen to them if they don't, and if they have families, how they can get their families off Earth and safely out of the swarm's way. She says that living on Arcadia and being so far away from the path of the swarm, along with the videos of DD kicking swarm ass, will relieve all of the stress caused by the swarm. Then people will only have the stress of living. Karen takes us into Dean's office where we talk a little about the Confederacy and when will they actually give advanced weapons and tech to Earth governments. The contingent from XYZ Company arrives, and after the pleasantries are done, we get down to discussing the possibility of their purchasing Arcadia R&D. They are interested in the entire company to include all offices, labs, and projects worldwide. Well, gentlemen, I will tell you that I am interested in selling if the right offer comes along. As you probably know, I am in the process of packing up and leaving Earth for the foreseeable future. I will be upfront with you and tell you right now that there is no information or projects underway for my planet Arcadia or any alien race, nor any projects that use Arcadian or alien tech in any way, shape, or form. Knowing this, is XYZ still interested in purchasing Arcadia R&D? And just for my own curiosity, would the company retain its name, or would it be changed to XYZ R&D? Your statement is noted but doesn't change our interest in buying your company, Dadius. We are authorized to make a sincere offer of $600 million US, subject to confirmation of Arcadia's financial situation, matching our information. And we would be changing the name to XYZ R&D. I am told that you and Dean, you would have a pretty good idea if our information about Arcadia's financial situation was in the ballpark if we showed it to you, he said as he handed Dean and I what appeared to be a financial review. Dean started looking through his, while I looked quickly through the summary. I saw that the totals in each category looked about right from what I remembered from the last statements I saw. I pulled Dean to the side and told him that the information in the summary looked like the same information in the last financial statements I had seen. He said that if that was true, then they knew they were still low in their offer. I told him I was going to ask for more and see if they'd settle around $750 million. Yeah, I know I said I'd take $600 mil, but you never accept the first offer. Well, I have to say your information looks pretty accurate. I can't speak as to the details in your information, but the end results appear to be in the ballpark, though on the low side. If XYZ upped their offer to $900 million US, and I retained all rights to the company name, Arcadia R&D, I do believe we'd have ourselves a deal. I figured they'd have to call and get that kind of number authorized, and they asked if they could have a few minutes to discuss things with the Home Office. Sam, can you monitor their call, who they call, and what is said? Easily, DD. Please do so and let me know what was said before we meet them again. Will do, boss. No problem, gentlemen. We'll leave you here if you like and go have a coffee with Karen in the outer office. Just open the door whenever you are ready to resume. We went out and stood around with our coffees, Dean whispering to me he is very curious as to what they are saying in there and is surprised it is going so quickly. Most times the selling and buying of big companies like Arcadia take months. I agreed, but whispered back that XYZ must have coughed up some big bucks to get the information that they showed us, so they probably have every bit of information about the company that is available. DD, they have called one of the politicians that we are watching and conference called with the others. They have told the politicians that you told them that there are no projects for your planet Arcadia or any alien race, nor is there any alien tech of any kind in use by the company. The politicians tell them you must be lying, as why else would an alien race give you a planet to rule? The politicians tell them to counter with $800 million US, and if I turn them down, they will just have to nationalize the company. The call has ended, DDD. Awesome, Sam, thank you. The door to Dean's office opens and they ask us to come back inside. D-Dust, Dean. We have been told to up XYZ's offer to $800 million US, and that it was the final offer. I looked at Dean and Sam, then over at the XYZ contingent, smiled, and held out my hand to shake theirs, saying, "Gentlemen, I believe we have ourselves a deal," as I shook each of their hands in turn. "Dedius, Dean, we have here a simple offer to purchase form here that we just need to fill out the amount for. We have this in $10,000 USD cash in good faith money, so that you won't enter into negotiations with anyone else while waiting for this to be completed." I wrote on the bottom of the OTP after our call that XYZ would change the company name to XYZ R&D, and that you retained all rights to the company name Arcadia R&D. "Okay, we have no problem with that. I'll read it over while Dean calls Diane from legal to come and have a quick look." Dean calls Diane, who arrives quickly asking us what the heck we are doing discussing this kind of business without her or anyone from legal around. I look over at her, smile, and mouth, "Yes, Mom," while she's looking over both offer sheets. "Okay, I'll let it go this time, you two, but don't let there be a next time," Diane says, shaking her finger at Dean and I. "This is a simple, straightforward offer to purchase Arcadia R&D and all its assets worldwide for the sum of $800 million US dollars, subject to confirmation of Arcadia's financial situation, matching the financial information as per the attached document provided by XYZ. Is this the document you saw? DD? Dean?" We both look at the document and tell her it is. "It also states that you, Dedius, will retain all rights to the name Arcadia R&D. Is this what you two agreed to?" Dean and I both tell yes, so she puts her signature where necessary on both papers and turns them to us for ours. We sign, and she then turns them to the XYZ contingent, and they sign. She gives one set to the XYZ people and holds on to our copy. I have to say that XYZ must be pretty sure of Arcadia R&D's financial situation to want this completed within the next 2 weeks, Diane says to the XYZ group. "Yes, ma'am, we are. Arcadia R&D has what is probably the best reputation in the business for operating above board, so we have no reason to doubt any of the information we obtained. And Dedius, I believe you when you said there are no alien-related projects or tech in-house. However, those that pay me have other ideas. I will say it is still a good price for the company. Thank you all for your time. Diane, we will be in touch to finalize things as soon as we can. I imagine a certain Guardian Prime is closing in on the time to leave our neck of space and might be able to use $800 mil. Take care, Barry, and let me know when we can get this finalized," Diane replied, and closed the door after the XYZ people had left. "So when are you leaving DD? Is it soon?" "Yes, Diane, fairly soon. Probably within a few weeks or so." "What about you? Are you going to see about staying on here after XYZ takes over?" Diane gets a sly look on her face. "No, GP, I got me a very nice little boutique in this city called Guardian City. You ever heard of it?" "What? How? I've never seen your name on either the list of people that have taken the enhanced test or the list of those going to Arcadia. You were probably looking for Diane Foster when you should have been looking for Cherry Lynn Diane Lynn Foster. I am sure you are smart enough to see why I always use Diane. And you better continue to use Diane after we leave here." Again with the finger waving at me. "Sam?" "Yes, her name is on the list to go to Arcadia DD. Ooh. She owns Cherries. DDD, her store has the sexiest clothing. Her store downtown is very well known, and if you remember back to our stay in Guardian City when we first got our bodies, the very sexy clothing you said everyone was wearing, a lot of that came from her store. Her store on the Arcadia website gets a lot of traffic, and I do believe it will in Guardian City as well." "You have good information, Sam. Not too many people know I own Cherries, and I'd like to keep it that way. For now, anyways, the people that work in the store will be working in it in Guardian City as well, so nothing should change. And I don't want to hear anything out of you two either," she said. This time the finger was waving at both Dean and I. "DD, Dean, I'll let you both know as soon as the sale has been completed," was the last she said before turning and leaving. "Wow, she left quickly," I said. "I had hoped to let her know I was glad she was coming with us." "I'm still here talking to Karen, so I heard you." "Thanks, DD, I mean that. Now why don't you take your girls to that Cherries place and spend some of that $800 million you just got?" "Ha ha ha. We will, Diane. Well, Sam, we got told, didn't we? Dean, we shall see you later." "We? Don't you mean you got told, DD?" Sam said, laughing. Bye, Diane. Dean, Karen, we shall see you later, Sam stated, then up to the J&J we went. Sam immediately told the girls everything and then took us down to Cherry's. I did remember the sexy clothes all the first females had been wearing, and Cherry's was full of the stuff. It was also full of women and girls in various stages of dress, trying on different clothes. My girls joined the fray, and I just sat back and watched. One of the sales staff did come by and ask if she could get me a coffee, water, or a soft drink while I was watching and waiting, and I told her a coffee would be fine. I could overhear the sales girls telling my girls that certain outfits would look great in Guardian City, or that Guardian Prime would love this on them, so I guess they knew who we were, but didn't spread it around. I did whisper to the sales girl that took care of my girls that I looked forward to seeing all of them in Guardian City, as I paid for all the clothes the girls bought. Her eyes got big and she quickly looked around to see if anyone heard, then gave me a wink and a smile as she handed me the loan receipt. Back on the J&J, the girls put their stuff away, and I joked that I better get Riker to build a transport just for all the clothes they had. No lunch, and it was late afternoon now, so I tell them I am going to see Chef about some food. Delilah comes running up to me, saying she is hungry too, then gives me a kiss and thanks me for taking her shopping. Tonight, Delilah tried a fresh rainbow trout with a garlic lemon butter herb sauce, while I decided on the surf and turf, aka a dozen Alaska king crab legs and a 12 ounces sirloin steak medium rare. While I thought mine was very good, Delilah said hers was just okay. She said I would understand once I tried more seafood that had been raised by the mer. I told her I looked forward to it, and that I may need to see if some mer wanted to migrate to Arcadia. Her eyes got really big and she was nodding her head yes quite forcefully. As we sat around, I asked Sam to go over the list of things we had asked for, but didn't get in the trade agreements, and then see if we could buy everything that we were missing. I called Marcia, and Dean had already told her about our selling the company. He didn't tell her I would be looking to spend $800 million though. I let her know that if she came across any viable businesses or properties that had wildlife, raised animals, or produced food to buy them if she thought they were worthwhile, properties like ranches, farms, or their livestock, orchards, vineyards, and fish farms, for example. While the businesses and properties wouldn't go with us after every harvest, their products could until ours on Arcadia were in full swing. I'm in the middle of asking her to keep an eye out for any manufacturing companies as well that she thought we might be interested in them or their products when I hear, Whoa, slow down there, DD. Take a break for a sec, okay? I think all these might be stretching me a little too much. I look down at the notes I've been typing into my tablet and see, oh shit. Sorry, Marcia, I'm looking at my notes now and can see that this is going to be too much along with everything else that needs your more immediate attention this close to our departure. That said, I think we need someone or someones to take care of these things I was going to dump on you. Do you know anyone that fits the bill and would be interested? The position would be here on Earth until we pack up for good. We would also need a person to oversee the continued operation of whatever is bought for us. I hoped you would take a breath and see the scope of what you were talking about. I know that you can mention things like this to Sam, and she can get a busload of first on it, and it gets done in no time at all. But most of us don't have that kind of access to resources. And to answer your question, yes, I do know someone and maybe someone's that would be very interested in this type of work. They both have been in this type of work for 20 plus years, but the company they work at has good old boy syndrome, and they both know they won't go any higher. I'll give you one guess which company they work for. Groaning, I say, please don't tell me they work at XYZ. Bingo, you got it in one. I knew you were a smart boy. They both work at XYZ Corporate. I tell you what, I'll call them and see when we can get together, and then I'll play touchy-feely with them about whether or not they'd go to the Confederacy or Arcadia if they had the chance. Okay, Marcia, do that, please. But first, please, what are their names so Sam can check them out? Sam can see if there is something in their Arcadia or CAP profile that would make the undesirable for taking to Arcadia. Their names are Louise and Lois Simpson. Both are in their late 40s, divorced, and 5 kids between them that have already gone with the Confederacy. I give Sam their names and ask Marcia to hold on for a sec. Sam tells me they both have 6.4 SIAP scores, but neither has taken the enhanced test. It looks like their cap is mostly due to low aggression scores. They are also in the early stages of menopause. Depending on their enhanced test, both would be asked to go to Arcadia. Marcia, Sam tells me that neither lady has taken the enhanced cap test. When you talk to them, tell them it is absolutely necessary to take the enhanced test if they want to go to Arcadia. Their Confederacy cap test is good, and their being in the early stages of menopause would not prevent them from going to Arcadia. Don't promise them anything, but from what Sam told me, if they had already taken the enhanced test, they would have already been asked to go to Arcadia. Sam has flagged their names and will contact you as soon as she's seen their enhanced results. Okay, DD, I'm multitasking and am on the phone with them right now. I'll tell them to take the enhanced test before we get together if they can, and let you know what they have to say about Arcadia. Later, boss.